All right. How you guys doing? My name is T Love. We're here for I don't know, we're not gonna have a title right now, but my name is T Love. This is the first ever anime podcast from the Grid Connect. Today we're gonna be pretty much talking about anime news that happened this week, up and coming animes that we're currently watching right now, and we're gonna be talking about one of our favorite animes and getting a little bit of discussion about that. But I digress. Let me go ahead and introduce my fellow cast members. Next on the list is Harap. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, my name is Harap. I'm a streamer and I play video games. Sometimes co-stream with T Love and his Grid crew on Twitch. I sometimes play on Twitch, but I'm more on the mixture side. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, pretty much what we do.
Okay. And last but not least, we have Heroitus. Is because I emphasize the last bit of it.
Two eyes.
Yep. I'm Herodotus with two eyes at the end. You can just call me Hero. I am not a streamer. I'm a nerd. I'm a gamer, and I'm an emotional sap. But more importantly, this is the first ever podcast, but it's the second ever introduction.
It's the second try.
It's the second try. Hopefully, we won't go for three, because I think the guys will probably leave. But we're gonna go and try and take two for the end. So let's go ahead and just dive right into it. So the first topic of discussion that we're gonna go into is something that is going all over the news about anime. Hit up Crunchyroll, hit up Anime Freak, and hit up everywhere out there, and it's all about why people are upset about nudity more so than violence. So if you don't know, there's an anime called High School DxD. Has a lot of nudity, lots of nudity. I recently started rewatching the first two seasons of it. Lots of nudity. In fact, I think the second season kind of got to the point where even the intro just said, "Screw it, we don't even care anymore. If kids don't know what we're emphasizing here, we're emphasizing." But the cool thing about it is it has some kind of like hero aspects and fighting. The synopsis of it is. A boy, he dies, he comes back as a demon, and his goal, which is so weird, like lots of heroes out there, his goal in life is to become the king of Harlem. So he wants to have a bunch of girls and just have them as his playthings, and it's just great. Hero, yeah. Hero.
I'm like, what does it mean?
Hero,
What does
harem.
that even mean?
It's. I don't English well, guys. I don't English well.
Well, that's kind of the appropriate, Japanese category for
Yep.
that type of thing. So, it's appropriate.
So
So basically, he's trying to be a pimp. Is what you're saying.
it's not a pimp because he's not trying to have sex with him because he's in puberty. He's like 17 years old or something like that.
He's almost legal. He has 1 year.
To clarify, he's not a pimp because he's not trying to pimp out these.
Yes, he's trying to have one for himself.
Oh,
Since they're into the word harem.
The
he's
difference,
trying to-
okay.
yeah.
Oh
I
my
got
gosh.
I got you.
So a lot of people are really pissed off because this season 3, has pretty much censored everything nudity inside the anime, but it hasn't censored any of the violence out of there. So there's still blood, there's still guts, there's still all that stuff inside the anime. There's just no nudity, no boobs. That's all it is. So a lot of people are going. Go ahead.
So my question is, the nudity, is it just the boobs?
It's just
Is
the
that
boobs, boobs
is
and
that what
butts,
it is?
boobs
Just
and butts.
The opie.
Yep.
I mean, are they having sex? My
No.
question.
Nope, it is not.
Like
It is not full on hentai. It is still classified very close, tier on that line of ecchi though.
Okay, so
Well,
what are they
and
doing
he
with the
is-
boobs? Let's start with what they're doing with the boobs.
Why does it matter? I mean, it doesn't matter. It
but
shows nudity.
It doesn't work. Or
It
does
doesn't
not
matter.
Work?
It doesn't matter. It works. It kind of works. I mean, it's ecchi. It just gets to the point where it's very ecchi. That's all it is.
Okay, if there's not actual insertion or anything like that, I
Doesn't
don't
matter.
think there's an
It
issue.
doesn't matter in the
I mean,
eyes.
we do it the same. We do
No,
it
we
the same
don't.
way
No,
here
we
in
don't.
America.
Oh,
We do.
so if you see on public TV, do you see nudity? Do you see boobs on public TV? Don't count
It's on
H. It's not on HBO. I'm not talking about
That's
PBS.
public.
I'm talking about on Cartoon Network. I'm talking about Nickelodeon. I'm talking about Fox. I'm talking on TBS. Any of those channels does it show nudity?
HBO is a public show.
It is not a
It's
public show. You have to
net-
pay for it. You have to pay for it.
But it
Hold
goes
on,
out
hold
to the
on.
public. Just because you have to
So-
pay for a subscription for a show to come out, it's out there for the public to use
Okay.
and see.
Okay.
Now that is true. So I think that the major thing here is delineation of like TV ratings and whatnot, right?
Correct.
True.
So anime it's in this weird spot where it's a cartoon essentially. If you were to take it out of like the traditional Japanese
Yep.
like animation and whatnot and stick that in America, people would call it a cartoon.
But
Cartoons are for kids, and that's where I think this negative stigma comes, where because anime is actually just like regular content like any other show show that you might catch with real actors that have real nudity in HBO shows or Showtime shows. The major difference is that anime is not a cartoon, but in American culture it is. Like, we automatically associate that with kids, and I think that is where the biggest thing comes in, at least for Americans, at least in the United States. That's the biggest thing, I think, when it comes to these types of shows that have a lot of nudity and a lot of violence, because people think my kids are watching this stuff, and it's not like adults that are over, the TVMA rating age group or whatever it is.
now let me add it to it because I think I was cut off a little bit, but it's not Funimation, and it's not the publishers. It's the actual creators are actually censoring this stuff. So let me take a step back. So the actual anime, the writers and the animators have switched. The third season is being picked up by another company who's doing all the animation work for it. So the animation is completely done and drawn completely different, and that company is actually censoring this stuff, and it will come out later after the season, or after the season is ready to become on video or on like digital copy or whatever. That's when they'll actually have it released at the uncensored video, uncensored stuff out to the web.
So, like, from the get-go, the artists are censoring it.
Yes.
And I'd imagine it's based off of direction from like the publisher.
Is not from the publishers. The publishers actually wrote back. Crunchyroll reached out, and also Funimation reached out. They said they have no control over what the editors actually censor or do not censor. We have, however, do request certain things, but we in this case did not. So,
well, but the publishers are actually going to be like the companies that employ the artists or the animators. Like
they're
your Crunchyroll, like those are essentially going to be your distributors.
Yeah, they will be your distributors, but
so like the actual company that makes it and produces it and hires the artists, and they're basically giving the artists the direction, and the artists are like, okay, yeah, that's what we're going to do, and they are from the get-go creating something that is heavily censored.
Yep.
That's getting because here's the thing: is it censored if it's originally created that way?
And that's where and back to your topic of cartoons and anime, in the words and the eyes of Japanese culture, anime is essentially a version of cartoon. So I kind of switch back and go back to what you were saying. Mm-hmm. In the United States, we still have TV ratings for cartoons. Rick and Morty is rated MA. So they will still classify as United States as MA because it has all that the blood and the violence, and it also has the nudity in there. So they'll still have do it. It's not partially nudity, so they can't rate it anything less than 18. So they have to rate it as an MA because it either 18 or MA because of that. And what pushes over the MA limit is because of the violence, because of the blood. Now, this anime is borderline hentai. I have to emphasize this. A lot of people are like, okay, it's not hentai, it's like because there's no insertion. It is borderline hentai because the stuff that the guy and the girls and what they do, they are explicitly, what's the best word to say it? They're alluding to sexual acts and sexual things in there. So it is alluding to it. That's the reason why it is still inside, closely inside the ecchi bubble, but it is pretty much borderline hentai at this point in time.
Okay. Man, so as far as I know, there's not ratings that come with these types of shows.
I don't know. From my understanding, in Japanese culture, they kind of do it the same way as what we label it.
But for the way that we consume it,
Mhm.
like on your Crunchyroll, Funimation sites and whatnot, like, do they have ratings? I will actually say this: Funimation does.
I want to say yes. I want to say yes because I know when my friend actually went over to Japan, and I know a couple people who actually was watching TV over in Japan, and even mirror sites that actually take a look at that. They actually censor a lot in Japanese culture. The blood and stuff like that we're able to intake, they actually have to go to other sites and actually pay extra, like an HBO or whatever, to actually get to see that kind of content. So normal day to day kind of stuff, they don't get to see that kind of stuff on regular TV. They actually pay like an extra subscription or whatever to see that stuff on other channels and stuff. So I want to say yes.
Yeah. Well, and like watching.
What is that for the public?
So like I said, it goes back to, here, so if we're going to go back into the public stuff, a strip club is for the public, is in the public's eye,
Yes.
So
Yes,
you
everybody
can't,
know what it is.
so
It's
we
just
have to kind of we have to cut out the whole public viewing. We have to go into the eyes of FCC. The FCC kind of censors what can be taken in from open public to closed public. So what I'm saying is everything porn related is out in the public. You can get it and you can intake it. It's everything. In fact, air is public. But what they're censoring is how accessible is the content that you're trying to take in. So how many paywalls, how much censorship they can put in there, why they're going to put it in there, putting guidelines in that. That is what I'm saying from there. So is it fully freely publicly accessible, or is it content blocking and you can access it, but you have to pay your subscription, you have to prove age limit, you have to show that you are of a certain age and pay that stuff and wherever, what have you, and or go to a certain place or certain location to actually get it. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Everything's publicly accessible.
So what I would say is the answer is yes.
It is. It is.
They already do that.
Yes.
Like Funimation, Crunchyroll, those types of places, like you actually have to say, yes, I am this age. You have to do something to say, confirm I am over and am able to watch.
But that's what I'm saying is it's public and you have to do the wall paying for it. So I could be 12 years old and then I ask my parents, Dad, can I get this Netflix type thing to watch cartoons and just go from there? And then you have categories of different things. You have adult section, you have everything else, less like that and stuff like that. Then you're in the public domain of watching all that stuff, and it's up to you to manage what I watch, basically. But I basically bypassed the paywall, and now I have the access to see what I'm not supposed to be seeing at this age.
So let me add to that. So Netflix actually, and a lot of sites like Netflix, like Hulu, and all that stuff, they actually allow other age limits to have their own accounts, but it has to link to a parent. So, for instance, if a parent decides if they have a Netflix account, they can set up a separate account that lies within side of their Netflix account and actually create it. And in the setup guides, it actually sets, is this person that you're creating under the age of 13 or whatever. Within that, they actually filters even more and strickens down what they actually can actually see. Same thing with YouTube. YouTube actually has their own separate YouTube app, which is called YouTube for Kids. That actually takes out all the stuff that's not classified or not supposed to be, which we won't get into the whole mess subjective stuff that YouTube did, because a lot of people kind of went around that and made some inappropriate cartoon animated stuff and was actually showed up on YouTube for kids, and it was all a huge publicity stuff. But I pretty much digress. It makes publishers and people who allow these videos and stuff like that, they have a lot of policies and restrictions and stuff like that that they have to undergo, because we're only in the United States, talking about the United States and Japan. There's certain restrictions that have to go in, and categories that you have to do for European. There's stuff for Spanish. I mean, there's a bunch of different things, and the FCC and all these content creators have to be on par with all those different cultures out there to make sure the content is strictly blocked out. I mean, some states or some countries, they completely block it. If it has anything related to nudity or whatever the case may be, it's completely blocked from their TV stuff, mirror sites, proxies, network providers. All that stuff is completely blocked. So last points before we go ahead and switch to the next topic, because it kind of, my last statement with talking about the public thing, the cultures kind of easily transitions to our next topic here. So last topics that we want to go into.
So let me kind of give my stance on this.
Okay.
First of all, I have no problem with nudity.
Yep.
Surprise. But second of all, this is actually two, I think, different things. You're now talking about censorship, and then you're talking about art.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as censorship goes, yes, it's different based off of where you live. There are different things out there. My stance on censorship is, I think it's appropriate if you can opt out or opt in. And man, now I sound like the same type of stuff that's been going on with like the Facebook question and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at Crunchyroll right now. It has, under video preferences, when you go to your profile, mature content filter.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to set up, if I had kids and I set up an HBO account and I let my kids use it, I would set up the parental controls.
Mm-hmm.
If I had a Crunchyroll, I would set up the mature content filter. You know, when I come in here, I would turn it off if I wanted to watch something that wouldn't, display because of that filter being turned on. My stance on censorship goes, essentially you're going to have to provide two different types of content: the stuff that is censored, and have that be up to the parent or the individual to set their stuff up correctly. And so to the distributors and everything like that, yes, you're going to have these types of controls. But beyond that, it's on the parent or on the guardian.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's basically up to the guardian or the parent of the person in question to make sure they set this up so their kids don't see these unappropriate.
To see.
Correct.
Some parents are totally fine with it. But,
right.
But
I mean, it depends on how they want to raise their kid and what they want to have them see and stuff like that. It's all dependent on that person. And absolutely. And it's a lot of people, I feel that which is the minority that has the biggest voices, which is possibly causing this situation or causing this news uproar for nudity and making these animators change the way they're showing their cartoon, which is pretty popular. And I'm like, you going 2 seasons with you going this way and you make yourself popular this way. Just because some people don't like the way it looks doesn't mean you need to change your product. Now trying to please everybody is not going to be the way to go. Mm-hmm. I think they are pleasing more of the people that like it, which is a lot of people, than they are displeasing people. I think they should just go back to where they were and continue making their anime the way they want to make it. It's their anime. It's their product. It's theirs. So they can do whatever they want with it. So I think they're just trying to please everybody, and
that's where this gets
thus changing the way their product looks to make them happy.
They're allowing this censorship to change their original art direction.
Right.
So now the
So now it's no longer theirs. It's no longer theirs.
So remember, guys, this the animators are a totally different company. Is that the original?
Mm-hmm.
So
So
what?
but who made that decision to change animators?
Do not know. I want to say maybe it's the creators, or maybe the creators of the anime, or maybe it might be the publishers. We don't know. At this point in time, we just know that the animators are completely different. So,
it's just weird to me that like, if you're sick and tired of your stuff getting censored, does that make it where you change how you do it so that way it's more widely available, or is it a thing of we're sick and tired of having to create the uncensored version and then the censored version?
I think with the thing with their, in my opinion, is that they make the product they were making before, and then you have the sites that then decide how they want to distribute it. If they have to have their own animators censor the anime, it's still whole for the creation that comes out. So it's up to the people that are taking the anime and putting it on their site. Like if Funimation wanted to keep let's say a high school D&D the purest way it was. So I get the copy from them, I put it on my site. I don't change anything with it. It's still vanilla. Nothing's changed other than me adding the subtitles for English or Spanish, however they want to do. But they don't change anything else on the anime itself. But if I'm Crunchyroll and I don't like it, or I don't want to put it on my site without it being censored for children, just in case they look at or see it,
then they censor it themselves.
Then they censor it themselves.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be up to the creators or the animators to do all that. They should just make the anime or make their product, and it's up to the sites to do what they want to do.
So let me put my last bit on this. So ultimately, I kind of agree with you guys. It is up to the designers, but if the designers decide to censor their stuff, then it's up to they can censor themselves.
Right.
Let me add now to add to that. Money talks. So if the publisher says you have to censor your stuff, the animators can make a uncensored version, but that means that they can't distribute it or anything like that because their publisher owns them. Okay, when they sign that contract with the publisher, whoever it be, Funimation, Anime Collect, or whatever they are out there, if they decide to sign a contract with them, they have to go by what the publisher says. If they do not go by it, then they literally get fired, they lose their contract, and they get sued. So they really can't do any much with it. So it's up to the publishers ultimately what can do that. And then even on top of that, it also goes down to distributors, your online streams, your people who are making the video or making the videos publicly accessible, any of that stuff out there, they can take another step down. So all drawn up to conclusion. I think the animation, I have not started the third season, but from what I heard, the animation has become very bad. But that's just people's bias opinion about it. But I mean, pretty much it just goes back to, are people going to continue watching it? If they don't, then this will probably be their last season and it'll be it. But, it's ultimately it decides back to the last person who owns or is going to be putting out the content. That's where it lies. Money talks, and the last person who's going to have the last piece of the stick, they hold the full cause of what they're going to put out there. So, But with that said, I want to go ahead and transition to our next topic. Our next topic is Japanese government. The government is trying to put in pretty much a constitution to pretty much block content, copyright content, digital content, anything and everything around anime, mangas, doujos, anything like that that's animated that's going to be pretty much needs to be blocked and censored. They have seen a bunch of anime, pretty much of these mirror sites, grow since 2012. And if you remember, about a few years back, I'm going to say 2015, 2014, there's a huge ban, a huge censorship uproar, or not censorship, but a content right blockade that Japanese government were going around, and they're purging a ton of mirror sites out there. In fact, at one point in time, Anime Freak was actually on the chopping block, and they actually had to take down their sites as well. So I think right now there's only 3 sites on their list right now: AntiTube, uh, Mungi Mungu, and Mino is actually on their list to actually block. But the government has also stated that any new sites that are coming out there, they'll also add to the list as well. Um, Now, you're probably thinking, okay, that doesn't really affect us too much. Well, you gotta understand this. From a Japanese standpoint, this is one of their biggest driving produce up in the Japanese culture beyond their technology and all that stuff. They produce in within a year anime, all anime related stuff like that. In that whole culture stuff like that, their distribution, they make over 400 billion yen. That's $3.7 billion in United States dollar. That's a huge surplus. And they have these different sites out there that actually mirror the stuff. They're losing money. They lose even more money, and I'm on par with this. It's weird for me to say this because I do get a lot of my content on different mirror sites out there, but they do need to strict down and lock down a lot of the content that they have that's accessible. But at the same sense, I think it goes back to our previous conversation. It goes up to the publishers, it goes up to the creators, it goes up to whatever it is. So I want to go ahead and transition this over. How do you think this is going to affect United States? How is this going to, how you think it's going to pan out? Is it going to be bad as it was with the huge anime purge a few years back? What is your thoughts on this?
I think they're gonna have a. It's gonna be a hard, long road for them because I could just go to their site, copy the anime myself via whatever software I just see fit at that point in time, and put it on my site and say, or on a third party site and say this is an anime that you can download. I mean, it could be. I mean, like what they're doing currently right now. It's the same thing like with Pirate Bay. They took their site down but made another one.
No, so let me take a step back. So when the government is going to lock this down, they essentially, it was weird with Pirate Bay. So Pirate Bay, they had several virtual servers. So they have VPSs out there, multiple different VPSs across the entire globe. What ultimately happened was the government actually got with our internal network, all of our providers out there, and pretty much blocked every VSP and tracked down the VSPs that that owner had and subpoenaed it and locked down and shut down the sites. Right now, the current Pirate Bay that's actually up is just a cache site. It's not a real, actually live Pirates Bay. It's all cache data and it's all mirror data from other sites that are out there. So Pirate Bay is dead. In the eyes of the government and like that, is dead. The ability to actually put new content up there, you're not able to do that. It's all old stuff out there. Now, they are still tracking and monitoring the cache data, but in the eyes of the government, it's all about stopping the fire where it is from growing and letting it burn out eventually over time. In the Japanese culture, what they're going to plan on doing, from what they did with Anime Freak and a lot of stuff out there, is they're going to block the content from their own internal stuff. So creators and anime sites that actually are able to view and stuff like that, there's metadata within every single site out there. So the only way you can get around it is actually record it with like another device, not with your computer like that, because your computers and stuff like that, they still keep that metadata timestamp on there, and there's intelligent software that still tracks certain pieces of the anime itself or the animation itself. The same kind of technology you get with your Twitch and your YouTube that actually gives you that content block and stuff like that. They're essentially doing the same thing, so you can't copy the content, put it on your own site because it'll still have the metadata, it'll still have that digital kind of timestamp with it and block that stuff out there.
But there's a way to still be able to do it. It may not be with the same computer or with the laptop or whatever, but you're
Yep.
still able to do it outside of it and still able to copy
Yeah.
that anime or whatever and still put it on a site for other people to take and download and for them to watch without
Yeah.
having to pay for it.
Yeah.
So
Basically,
you're still in a sense doing the same thing just without the computer as the mediator.
basically, welcome to the digital age Hydra. You cut off one head,
Yep.
2 more heads pop up.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yep.
They can certainly make it difficult. They can certainly make it
Oh yeah, Mr. Lester.
for anyone else that can freely grab all this stuff. But you're not dealing with like a closed thing anymore. You're dealing with the internet, a global thing
Big.
that has everybody using it, and there's a couple of smart people inside of that everybody.
There's a couple.
Just a couple.
But I mean, if they're determined, if you had a determined enough person that really wanted to do damage, they can do that if they wanted to. Just like a hacker, if they're determined to hack into somebody's site, they can hack into it. They will do it. They will find a way to hack into this site if they're determined and mad enough to do that. So,
Here's the difficulty I think that they're running into though, is this is digital entertainment, and that stuff is hard to police.
right.
You look at the stuff that comes out on HBO, like how many, like Game of Thrones is a great example. Like all the reports that were coming out of like, here's basically how many times we pretty much know that this is being streamed or torrented or pirated in some other way. And all these people are viewing it in that way instead of paying for HBO.
Right. But that's always been that way since HBO started doing their subscription stuff. Everybody wants to go around the paywall and watch their sites for free.
So that's always going to be a problem. And I agree that that does need to be dealt with. How do you deal with that? Thanks for asking. One site, please. I love Netflix, all right? I pay Netflix. I love Netflix. It's got a ton of stuff on it. If everything went to Netflix, I would pay more than what I currently pay for it. Because it's one place to get all content. People are pulling out of Netflix, and I hate it. Because now it's like, all right, sign up for CBS All Access, sign up for Hulu, sign up for Netflix, sign up for Crunchyroll, sign up for whatever. And now all of a sudden I have like a million different accounts and a million different places I have to go. And not every single one of those has an app on my smart TV. And not every single one of those has something that's real nice and viewable from a PC.
Right.
What I hope happens here is it drives one site. I will pay for one site.
It will never happen. It will never happen.
It's not going to happen because of money. That's the thing. What
exactly.
You're saying right
I was about
now
to say that.
It's because of the money.
Yep.
All those sites want money. All the sites, Crunchyroll,
what
HBO, all of them to separate everything, they want money.
Yep.
What I'm saying is they have an opportunity to create a Netflix type thing where, of course, there's always going to be outliers.
Yeah.
But create something like Netflix, or even fucking use Netflix, and have your other sites like Funimation and whatnot like partner up with them. They can make money off of Netflix. Do something like that, please. They have the opportunity. They have the opportunity, and I know it's probably not realistic. It's way too idealistic, but when you don't have something like that, where it's not easily accessible for everybody, you will always have these other folks that are creating these mirror sites or creating these, what they call in their article, leech sites.
Yeah.
You'll always have that because it's hard to go to 50 different places to get everything that you want.
Right.
And it sucks. And so people will make it easy.
Well, and the thing is that for the companies, it's about money. For the people, it's about how easy and how fast can I get this information.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically it. And if that it's if
They
it's
conflict.
free, if it's free, and all I have to worry about is downloading it, I'm gonna go that route. I don't have to worry about paying a $10 subscription to Crunchyroll or whatever it is, or Netflix, to watch this one show or anime or cartoon series or movie that just came out a couple weeks ago. If I can get it for free on this site and I don't have to worry about a subscription on this site, I can, and all I have to do is wait a day for it to come on the site and just download it. Then I'll do it. I'll wait a day.
But then
I'm not gonna mess up.
how does Japan and the companies in Japan that are creating this content make money?
Mm-hmm.
That's up to them. That's not my
Salute it.
problem. I'm just a
Salute it.
consumer trying to get my anime, movie, cartoon fix.
So it does affect you, and you got to remember this. So if the people who are making the stuff can't get paid, then the content dies. You can't just consume and drink and drink and drink, and just say, okay, it's free. It doesn't affect me in any way. Right? That's why for me specifically, I'm not gonna lie, I do use mirror sites, but I do, however, go back and do donations to the people. I do purchase their actual digital stuff. So if there's a copy out there or whatever, I I download or pay for the copy so I can have a actual thing. I pay for the sites to actually have their content on there, so I can actually say, okay, I watched it. Now I want to go ahead and purchase my subscription or whatever for Crunchyroll or whatever. And I mean, I pay for my sites and stuff like that. Now the problem with it is the
You
publisher.
have other people that are the opposite of you.
Correct, and that's where the Japanese culture is targeting. You're targeting the majority, not the minority.
Correct.
So I have the be all end all solution. There's actually two of them. So there's a thing on the internet called ad block, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
surprise. Ads to make a profit on some of these free sites and everything
Mhm.
are not nearly as effective anymore. Ads that are in like a Hulu video, if you have ad block, it simply just sits there for like a minute and a half, and then you can continue watching.
Yep.
Or you could watch like a 15 to 30-second ad. But those ads sometimes with ad block get stripped out, and you can continue to watch the content. So two possible solutions that I think I would love to see. Number one, I think it needs to be essentially kind of like a sponsorship or marketing or advertising deals. You could include advertisements in the actual anime itself.
Like
So
what
it's not
YouTube
something
does.
that pauses.
Yep.
It's not something that not even like what YouTube.
No, because the creators actually
YouTube
do parts.
pauses.
No, now if you think about it, the actual content creators actually add the content saying this is a thing. This is a sponsored by Autobots or Audio or whatever it is. They'll do a little snippet and do a video of the content that they're trying to sponsor the ad over it with inside
like
the
an
video
ad
itself.
read.
Yep.
Yeah. So you can do that. Or this is what I would prefer. Get sponsorship deals and have product placement. So I'm talking about like things where if in the anime someone goes to a vending machine and gets a drink, it says Coca-Cola on it. And now people want Coca-Cola, right? And so they got money from Coca-Cola to be able to put that in their animation. Right? And it's completely it's almost like a subliminal message where it's just like you don't even notice it, but if you do, Coca-Cola put their name out there. You know, if someone is displaying a web page, one of the tabs on their web page, or maybe it shows them being on like Crunchyroll, but then they open a new tab and do like whatever animation search that they're doing. Like it puts marketing out there inside the animation, and also provides a way for sponsors or larger companies to provide money to these animators in exchange for get our name out there somehow. It might mess a little bit with some creative license that the folks use to create their animation. They have to make sure that they include these types of things. But at the same time, you don't have to pause for an advertisement, and the actual content creators don't have to worry that they won't make any money off of it.
There was an anime. I cannot remember the name of it anytime for the life of me, but they did that. They actually had McDonald's. They had. It was very recent. It came out late last winter, but it was literally of a guy who's a gamer prodigy who went around and he deleted his account because his esports team decided to drop out. I can't remember the name of it for some reason. But essentially, he pretty much dropped his esports game. But the team itself actually did a ton of sponsorship with McDonald's and stuff like that. He actually had one of their gamers actually do a couple of commercials, doing their sauce syrup and stuff like that. It was huge. It was a huge success. And from what I can't believe this, but the sales for McDonald's during that time actually went up, and it's a smart way.
It could work. So actually, The Devil is a Part-Timer. It's a great
Yes.
anime. I think you can catch it on Netflix. They essentially, the devil goes and works at McDonald's, but it's McDonald's.
Yeah.
If they had just worked a deal with McDonald's,
Yep.
McDonald's would have probably seen a rise in sales.
Yep.
And the animators would have gotten money from that to create their content.
King's Avatar. King's Avatar. Yeah.
That's a perfect way to do it, where you just incorporate real stuff into your anime and you get the money that way. And it's there. So if anyone watches it, guess what? You're making money, basically.
Smart. So last round, what we're going to talk about, so we can go ahead and transition to our next thing. Last thoughts on this. We'll start with Rob.
Like I said, I think they have a long road ahead for them to deal with this if they're going to try to crack down. If Japan's trying to crack down on the mirror sites and stuff like that. I will say good luck to them, and we'll see what happens.
Okay. Rotis.
Just echoing that, really, it's going to be real hard. They're going to make it more difficult, so they'll be able to rein it in a little bit, but it's not going to be complete. It's going to make other sites even more sketchy, honestly, for folks that want to go consume that content and find other ways to consume it. I honestly think that in this kind of internet digital age that we're in, we have to come up with better ways to make sure that people that create entertainment, create content, can still get paid and not have to worry about people skirting around it. And I think just the entire thing needs to be kind of rethought of what's a surefire way to be able to get this stuff done, get paid, not have to worry, because it's always going to be there. You're always going to have people going around and creating ways to be able to view it. So just come up with another system. You're always going to be fighting this the way that it currently is. You're always going to be fighting it. So come up with a different system.
Cool. So I'm pretty much I'm on the same thing. I'm afraid that if Japanese has said, you know what, this is just not working, we're going to do the whole full purge. Anything and everything goes through us for publishing. They actually kind of lock down the system where any content that is created before it even gets to the internet, before it even goes to a digital stuff, before all publishers, all creators, everything like that has to go through Japanese culture or the Japanese government, and then they will actually mandate it so that way they can get paid. And if that happens, then that completely locks down everything out there, and it affects us because even if we are able to get the content, it's going to be widely delayed. So it's going to make the payment and all that stuff even worse. It's going to shut down a bunch of these sites, but on top of it all, it's going to make us, the consumer, kind of left with, okay, I guess I can't watch any of these animes because they're never going to hit the States, and I'm pretty much just going to have to wait until next year where it becomes irrelevant, and pretty much catch up to it. So that's how I feel. But I digress. Before that, since let's get off of the negative topic and let's get on to, our last topic, our last theme, which is pretty much, My Hero Academia actually had a preview of their new video game that's going to be launching on Xbox One, Switch, and PC later this year.
PlayStation's also getting it too.
PlayStation as well. I forgot to say that. So PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and PC later this year. It looks very interesting. I had no idea this game actually had a card game for the smartphone. Yes, there is a card game for the smartphone. But I want to just talk about My Hero Academia and the surprise rise of fame. I think this might be the new Naruto ongoing anime that might be shaping the way of everything. I mean, they already have a bunch of games. It's already on what, their third or fourth season of it all. I mean, it's blowing up. The rise of fame is it blows me away, and it's very interesting. So I want to go ahead and switch over to Harap and talk about pretty much rise of fame of this anime, the game itself. Do you even play anime games, or what do you think about it, and just how you think this is going to pan out for My Hero Academia and all that stuff. So,
to tell you the truth, I really don't know much about My Hero Academia. To tell you the truth, I just heard that it's getting really, really popular. To the point where Naruto and like Bleach status, I don't know yet. I haven't watched any of the seasons. I think there's 3. Um, I'm not for sure, but I will look into that to verify. But uh, if I will still have to also see the trailer for the game too, for when it's coming out this year, to say if I'm going to play it or not. I don't even know what type of game it's going to be. I'm guessing a fighting game.
yeah,
It's an action game.
yeah.
It's an
So
action game.
it's just like your
Battle
Sora.
action game.
Yeah, it's just like your Sora Online and all that stuff like that you played before. So,
Okay.
So the other question was, do you ever play anime created games, and what do you think about it compared to your other games that you play out there? How do they fare?
I would say they fare differently compared to watching the anime and then now you're playing the game thinking about the anime that you just watched. I would say do not expect to be like you're watching the anime playing the video game. It's completely different. It'll look like the anime, but it's not the anime. I'm just letting you know now. We went through that twice with Sword Art Online and failed miserably both times. It was just it was hyped for playing the video game thinking we're playing the anime that we just watched when it completely is completely different. It just looks like it. So if I was a person that's hyped over the anime and now there's a video game coming out to it, I will say don't have your expectations so high to where it kills the anime for you
Would
to
you get
where
it?
you don't want to watch it.
Would you get it?
Would I get it? I don't know yet. I haven't watched the anime.
No, but would you get a game that?
Oh, I did it twice.
Would you
I did
do it
it
again?
twice.
Would you do it again though?
I don't know because the last 2 times I was listening to a bestie of mine telling me to get into this game and I was very disappointed both times. So we'll see.
So before I switch over to Heroitus, I would just say this: I still do have that game. I still play it on my PSP PSP, while I'm watching my baby Trace, and
Uh,
we'll pass over to Heroitus. Same questions.
chat, chat.
All right, all right. What was the first one again?
The first one was what do you think about the rise of fame of My Hero Academia and how it's is going up there? Do you think it's going to potentially, be one of those Naruto kind of top games? And the second question was, do you ever play not games but animes? But do you ever play video games that are of animes that you recently watched?
Okay, so on the first question, what's up with the rise of My Hero Academia? Um, when it was announced that the third season, I think it's the third season coming out, like right now, right? It was huge news, right? Everybody knew about it. I will say I have not seen it, and I will actually say it's one of the ones that I think I regret not jumping at the beginning. Everyone that I have ever really heard talk, anime has always, everyone knows about this anime, and I think that's probably one of the biggest things, right? Like everyone knew about Naruto, everyone knew about Bleach, everyone knows about My Hero Academia. So yes, I think it's gaining a very similar popularity compared to like Naruto and Bleach and those types of anime. Everybody knows about it. It's one that I regret not jumping on at the beginning, and I definitely plan on jumping into it.
Same here.
It's huge, and I think they have a pretty. I kind of understand the general synopsis of it, and I think they have a really cool, really neat take at a cool story. So yeah, I mean it's huge. I don't think you can't argue that it's big,
Cool.
and I think it could definitely get to. They have the right formula to make it continue on like forever. So yeah, I think it can definitely get there. I would say wait a couple more seasons to see if it actually does, but I think they're well on their way.
Cool. So final thoughts. We'll start with you.
So yeah, I mean, as far as like the game, so many people have done this. Dot Hack, Dragon Ball, Sword Art Online, Attack on Titan, all these things have done this. So
Gundam.
Like, yeah, Gundam games, Black Clover. They had their first season just last season, and they have a fucking game now. So this happens all the time. I don't think it's real surprising. I think the only one that's ever had a decent amount of success would be like the Dot Hack games and the Dragon Ball games.
Yep.
Because of the popularity of the show, the game might be real popular, and if they make it well, absolutely. It looks like it might be. I haven't actually watched it, but just seen some of the screenshots from it. It looks like it might be somewhat similar to the Dragon Ball Z fighting stuff. So
yeah,
I
I'm looking at the trailer right now. Yeah, it's a fighting game. It's just basically like Dragon Ball Z, the fighting game where you're fighting somebody else. It's not like an adventure game where you're going through different worlds or something like that, doing stuff.
And if you know anything about the anime, it fits. I think it's a incredibly great genre of game for this anime to jump into. So, Persona 5, that's another great one. Although you could argue anime or game first. I don't know.
Yeah.
See,
basically created at the same time. Really think.
Well, the thing with that is that with Persona 5, it got so hyped. It lived with its hype though. So it's one of those games that came before the anime, which they're doing right now. It's the anime. And I think without the game coming first, the anime would have not came with its popularity.
I disagree because the manga was really widely taken as well, so people were expecting an anime.
Well, and that's a kind of interesting and good point. You've got a split between manga readers and anime watchers. And a lot of times, if one gains success with that particular group, it goes into the other. Like it's just kind of like a natural progression a lot of times. So.
It depends if the person, whoever it is, wants to spend the money to do the anime or the game for it, depending.
If it's popular, if it gets enough popularity and they can make money, hell yeah. So One Piece, Fairy Tail, great examples, had hundreds of chapters in the manga before they ever even did any kind of animation piece to it. But it was popular enough, boom, anime pops out.
Yeah, but they stopped in the middle, like Bleach. We're going to go back to Bleach. It stopped in the middle of the freaking season.
You know what else stopped in the middle of Bleach? Me.
Oh, buddy.
And honestly, with Bleach and all that stuff, they actually went through several different animator collections, like several.
Yeah.
Same thing with Dragon Ball. If
Yep.
you compare Dragon Ball Super to Dragon Ball in the middle of after Namek and then right before Namek and then even go back to Dragon Ball, all of them are completely different animators, doing completely different artists, and it's crazy different. So,
It's
um,
just licensing rights. Think about Star
That's
Wars.
true.
yep.
That's true.
So many people create all kinds of Star Wars content.
Hmm.
It's just they sell the Star Wars franchise or like rights to the
The
Star
name
Wars
of it, yep.
universe.
Yeah, the
And you
license
make your
to
own thing.
use the name,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah, I completely agree. You have the actual cartoon that's on Cartoon Network, that's a part of the story, and then you have the actual movies, and then you have the uh what else was there? The actual canon side stories that haven't made it to screen or on sites. You basically have to read them. They're in books or something like that. So it depends on who wants to spend the money, depending on what makes it popular to begin with. All right, I have this anime that's really, really popular, but I'm only going to make one season. Makes no sense. I don't understand how people are okay with an anime that's good, that starts with one season and it goes great with one season, but never gets picked up for a second season.
So
You have to wait so many years.
That will always be a mystery to.
So we're
I don't
gonna get off of
understand.
this because we're
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
go
yeah.
we're gonna transition to anime they did not die, and I know you're very happy about it.
Almost. I feel like it almost
Tokyo.
Almost. It almost did. I almost gave up on this anime. I
So
almost gave up on this one.
we're gonna transition over to Tokyo Ghoul and Tokyo Ghoul Re. So if you have not watched the first two episodes, this is a major spoiler alert. Stop listening right now. Just stop it. Just stop what you're listening to and fast forward maybe about 30 minutes or so. I'll just give you 30 minutes or so of that. And hopefully we won't ruin your fun. So we're gonna, without further ado, oh my god, I'm gonna say this. Second episode made me cry. The end of the second episode, I was crying. My eyes dripped. I
Oh my
had wetness
gosh.
wetness fall on my face. I could
I felt
not
so
control
bad
it.
for him. I
Oh
felt so
my
bad for him.
gosh. I felt
I
bad
felt
for
so bad
her.
for him. Oh,
It was
he doesn't.
both.
It
Oh,
was.
the
Yeah.
tugs, the heartstrings, the way they brought
You
him
could-
into
you
the
could see it.
shop.
You could see it. You could see this like internal struggle that Heisa or Kaneki was having.
Yep.
You could see he was crying. He didn't know why, but obviously he's got this internal struggle going on that he's just completely almost oblivious to. But like you could see like his emotions actually betrayed him.
Yeah.
And presented themselves. And then you
His
could
heart,
see on
his heart
Toku's
knew who that was. His heart knew it. His
on
head.
Toku's face, you could see this surprise. You could see this like almost this, but then at the same time, you could see this pained restraint, knowing that she can't just be like, oh my god, it's you. She can't do it.
She
And
can't
that's
do
the
it.
biggest thing because
Oh
on top
my
of it,
God.
it's just he said it. It's a soft smile, but it's hiding but it has a little bit of sadness, and that's a piece of it all. It just breaks you. But you gotta remember, this is not the first time his emotions kind of got the best of him. You remember the first fight he was fighting with that the other. What was it? The serpent. He actually realized that it was what's his name? I can't remember his name now.
Oh yeah.
Michiku, yeah, Michiku. It was him, and he lost control of his ghoul because of what he said. It seems as you still have not found a safe haven or something like that.
Well, he said his name, not realizing he said his name.
But at the same sense, that didn't click. It wasn't that
Right.
that made
I
it
get
happen.
that. I get that, but I'm saying he said his name without realizing why he said his name. And
Mhm.
then you saw the internal struggle happen between him and Kaneki, we think.
Oh, it's
Um,
Kaneki.
is.
Have
We all know
been-
it's Kaneki now.
well, okay.
It's
So
it's
spoilers, obviously. So with that internal struggle with him saying the guy's name, recognizing him and stuff like that, he saw that the struggle happened. He lost control of himself for a whole minute or two until the two reinforcements came and took him back down and stuff like that. You have that struggle, and then you have this where his ghoul is not even doing anything. It's just him seeing her, him recognize his heart recognizing her, and not knowing why he has these kind of feelings. And that basically makes you feel bad for both him and her because for her, she can't say anything to him, and for him, not knowing who she is, depending on because we don't know what happened within those 2 years to make him forget what happened or her, why he forgets her, or what they did to him to make him be the way he is currently.
What I love about that though is having those gaps. It kind of makes you infer your own thing, and of course, I probably would expect it to reveal itself at some point.
Oh yeah, eventually,
But
yeah.
it creates that mystery and kind of that additional tension when you're watching it. Like
that build up.
How and why? Unanswered questions.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah,
So
makes you more interested into
Mm-hmm.
his background or the 2 years that the gap there, and then what's going to happen in the future.
Which forces you to be interested in the character.
Exactly.
It is very interesting because this anime, when they launched and all that stuff, remember, I didn't know that it was essentially Kaneki. I had no idea it was Kaneki. But at this point in time, you kind of see that struggle, the same struggle that you saw within the first 2 seasons is completely different. So if you remember, the first season is all about him struggling to adapt his normal life, what he used to be, into a ghoul life. The second season is more of, okay, he's accepted it, but now now he's having a struggle of the ghoul life taking over his human life. Now in this struggle, I'm kind of getting the impression that they're kind of compartmentalizing both of the pieces. So now you're giving a brand new reset button. The ghoul and all the stuff that happened with that side of him is being compartmentalized into his own little cage, essentially the same thing like Naruto. And you're not able to remember and tap into all that stuff, but you're able to tap into the powers. And I think that's also part of the experiments that they're actually doing to him, that the doctors are actually doing to him. Remember, he's the only one that is actually able to get his kanji all the way up to, or kanja, whatever it's, I can't remember what it's called. Kaguri up to the highest level, because he actually launched it out to become like almost the point where he's even stronger than normal ghouls. So I think they're doing experiments to also, tap into that, to tap into the ghoul, to actually box in the ghoul itself. But also with that, the ghoul kind of siphoned all the memories, all that stuff, to pretty much put that in a box for safekeeping and only use the ghoul powers in that. So it's very interesting how they're starting this third season with the same kind of idea of his struggle and how he handled it, but they're completely changing it where he's not dealing with it. It's more the organization in dealing with it, so make sure he doesn't go out on a rampage and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. I think what I still find really, really interesting about all this too is kind of that whole compartmentalizing thing is actually still Jason.
It is. It all leads back to originally. Well, I gotta disagree with you on that one. Okay. So the whole piece with Jason, he even said it. You have it within you. I'm just giving you the key to turn the lock. He knew he had the power and all that because it comes from her and it comes from him. The chick who originally gave him his powers or the ghoul things, the intestines and all that stuff in there. That's where all that rage, that's all that ghoul stuff to tap into the emotions. He was so afraid when he was a human to actually go out and use his emotions. He was to the point where he couldn't even ask the girl out for a date in the first place. He didn't know how to he didn't know how to interact with people. He was a full-on introvert. So he didn't know how to understand his emotions. And when he got his ghoul stuff, he realized that his emotions actually taps in and actually is like 10 times more potent as a ghoul because it harnesses within his ghoul stuff. So Jason literally just said, you know what? I'm going to push you to the point where you're going to go in and you're going to force that door open. I want you to do that because if not, you're going to die in that chair. So it does go back to it is Jason, but it's not Jason himself. It's the acts that Jason did to actually unlock what he needed to do in the first place.
It's like the whole backstory of Jason is he was tortured in that same way,
Yep.
and he retreated inside of himself to
Yep.
keep himself somewhat sane.
Save. Yeah.
And then he did the exact same thing to Kaneki. He retreated into himself,
Mhm.
tapped into really what his ghoul stuff was, and finally kind of accepted it. And now it's almost it's the exact same type of thing. So it's almost like a trick that was taught to him by Jason that he is still using, and also using, not really knowing.
Yeah, and honestly, it's
now,
not.
he didn't know.
He's not doing really well with it either. It's like a teeter-totter effect. I mean, the second season was back and forth. It was really bad. He was struggling with really bad. There was relapses that he actually had when in everything where he was trying to control it and he was breaking stuff. In fact, when he went to the prison, that was the biggest outburst ever. He fully lost control of his ghoul. Everything. He transformed to I want to say even not even the fullest extent when he was fighting that prison triple S ghoul. He literally lost that fight, but he even told him, you still haven't tapped into the full strength of your ghoul. That's crazy. That is completely crazy, where he lost control of all of his emotions and the ghoul completely took over him. And that second season was all a balancing act between him controlling his emotions, him controlling his ghoul, him not becoming a full ghoul, him still becoming human, and just teeter-tottering. And now, in this third season, it's like, you know what? The organization is like, you know what? You can't control this. We're going to control it for you. We're going to essentially do the same thing that Naruto did, and we're going to trap it inside you, put locks and keys on there, so you cannot tap into it at all. We're going to allow you to do what we want you to do.
Where it differs though is the lock and key is basically a squad that will put him down when he gets too powerful.
Yep.
Pretty much, yeah.
And what I love is, like, I think he was becoming an S-rated ghoul at the end of Route A, season 2.
Yeah.
And again, you're right. Like, it was definitely where he was trying to kind of learn how to control it all. And then if you caught it in this episode 2 of the third season, they called him an SS rated ghoul.
Yep.
Double S.
Oh, hell
When he awakened for a whole second, he became a SS ranked.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so there's a reason why they fear him. There's a reason why this backup came up this fast.
Yep.
And
it's like the sons, I think, of some of like the original big guys, big dogs that fought the original owl and whatnot.
Yes.
So like,
see,
they're big dogs, man.
Yeah, and then that brings up a good question, like what happened to the guy he spared that used to go with the that
Yep,
where,
with Mondo,
where the
with
daughter,
the chick,
Mondo. With the Mondo's daughter. What happened to him?
Kotura or whatever.
Yeah, so what happened to that guy? So I mean, you have that. You're asking questions like, what happened to this guy that he spared during that big fight at the end of the first season?
Are you talking about Shinohara?
The cop that's used to with the cop that was partnered with Mondo's daughter.
Oh yeah.
That guy.
There's a million questions. Like,
where's the owl guy?
We've only seen Mato's daughter. We know Mato's dead. He died in the first season. Blah blah blah.
Yep.
Right.
By rabbit.
Where's Amon? Right.
Huh?
Where's Amon? He's the guy. He's like the Kaneki from the CCG. Like they're kind of like the.
Well, isn't that the guy that told him that he wanted to see his crew toward the end? The next time I come down, I want to see your group that you're training. Isn't that the same guy that is, I guess, his senpai to him?
No, that's not.
No.
So you're thinking
Is that a
of
different guy?
you're thinking of Kitsu, yeah.
That's a different guy. That's
a
not the
different
guy
guy.
That's not the guy he went face to face with
That's Armand.
2 years ago.
That's Armand.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we haven't seen that
Amon
guy yet.
Kotura. he's disappeared. Like when,
Yeah, we don't know
they
what he-
fought, Kaneki suppressed his ghoul side and didn't kill him.
Mm-hmm.
His body was just gone.
Mm-hmm.
So he's somewhere, we don't know. But then you
Mhm.
also have the people that were fighting the one-eyed owl.
Yeah.
And the old owl, right? They
Yeah,
fought
both owls.
You've got
Both of them, yeah.
Shinohara, and then you've got the Iwa guy. I can't remember his full name, but Iwa's son, or I'm assuming his son, is like the lead on the crew that is supposed to take down Kaneki when he gets too powerful.
Right. Yeah,
And
he's the
like
lead.
those two guys, along with Mato, like the old man Mato, they're like the three main dudes fighting the owl, along with like the current like director or whatever guy.
Yeah, the current director.
It's like we don't know what's happened to all of the old guys.
The old crew. Yeah, we don't know what
We
that.
only know like the chief dude is still around,
Yeah.
and Mato's daughter is still around.
Right,
and
which is
obviously
now watching
Iwa's son or whatever.
Kaneki.
Yeah. So like all that stuff is out there. I also want to. I gotta bring this up. Rabbit.
Yes, I was going to talk about that, but I'll let you go first.
Rabbit is an SS. I seriously thought it's like, oh my gosh, Toka got strong. But
Yeah.
then they showed Ayato, her brother.
Yep.
He was wearing the rabbit mask.
Yep.
So is he? So my buddy Kevin brought this up. Is he protecting her, or is he framing her? Is he trying to draw attention to drag her into the mess?
I think since we're inferring now
Go ahead.
about that, is he's doing that to see if he can bring him back out, which I think he did, which is what the whole fight became, because he said he was interested in his crew, and then now he's saying that he's more interested to Kaneki now with the fight, during the fight and everything. So I would say that I think he's trying to find somebody or something.
So
And then you still have the torso guy that's
He's still out there.
main. He's the main reason all the stuff and stuff.
He's a random that's gonna get killed.
Mhm.
You think so? I think there's a lot of stuff, layers here, because with the first season, you think, okay, this is just a mediocre guy. He's gonna die eventually. But then you watch it a couple times later, a couple times again, and you say, okay, this is a step in which this person helped this person figure this out, type thing. It's like it's like a stepping stone for them to further push this character along and stuff
And I
like
think
that.
that's all that it is. So torso, you can even look at the dude's face. He's a bland
He's going to
face
get cut.
character.
Yeah, he'll get
What
cut.
his purpose is to not be 100% directly related to all the people that the old Kaneki knew, but still be, hey, we got to go kill Torso. He's been doing all this stuff, and off of that, you start meeting the people from Kaneki's past, like Orochi, which is Nishi.
That's true. I mean, yeah, because you're doing that right now. You're going through him to get to
That's
these
all
other
it's going
guys.
to be. Torso is just like you said,
It's
it's
a
just
filler.
a step. He's a filler. You didn't want to start off with like, we need to find Orochi. Aha, Orochi is someone that you knew
Mhm.
past. That's too jumping into it too fast.
So
Throw random in there and then meet other people.
So I want to go in. I want to jump in here, and I think your idea of the rabbit bringing him out. I want to go a little bit different on that one. I think that if you remember, he actually had his own mask. He was actually called the Hare. So I think the mask he had was the Hare. They're misinterpreting that he was Rabbit. So it was Rabbit and Hare. He was the Hare. She was Rabbit.
But he also had that weird kind of like beak.
It's a
mask
it's a
all through Algori tree stuff.
He did. So I think my idea is he sees Kaneki as a rival. He's trying to reach out to Kaneki and open him up and kind of open up, bring back Algori Tree. But he either wants to kill Kaneki because he's way too strong and he doesn't trust him, or he wants to bring Kaneki in and pretty much, do the Algori Tree and purge all humans and make ghouls the
I mean,
all right.
without Kaneki, Algori Tree is still crazy strong. You've got the white-haired dude with the red mask. You've got the one-eyed owl.
Mm-hmm.
The mummy chick.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the dude with the long hair that you can cut him in half, and he like
The
comes right
regenerative
back
powers,
together.
yeah.
Like, so you still have super strong, powerful Algori Tree.
Mm-hmm.
And you also have Kaneki, who doesn't remember anything. In fact, he has a different name. He even looks a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't know if that would actually connect. It might be something like that, but I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna work.
I'm a stick to my guns on this one and say that he's trying to, if he's not trying to find Kaneki to bring him back or to actually talk to him to when I say bring him back, I mean bring him back, not the way he is now. Bring him back as it was before, and I guess deal with that situation at that point in time, or he's looking for somebody else and doing something. Then he has something else in mind.
I just don't see how all that stuff really connects, because like all of these people, they essentially I think that Kaneki has just left, or he's dead,
Mm-hmm.
or something like that, because Nishi, who like intimately knew Kaneki, right? Like they were friends, they were pals, they went through the entire almost the entire first and second season, didn't recognize him until he actually brought out his Kagune or Kagure. Like, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, are you actually Kaneki? Like, everybody would think that Haisa Sasuke is not Kaneki, I think.
So to go back to that, so we're talking about, okay, so I want to go back to the fight where he still had the mask on. He was getting his butt whooped. Hisuke or Kaneki, whatever you want to call him, was getting his butt kicked, and the guy had his mask still on. Then he cracked his knuckle, unlocked a little bit more of his power, and start whooping him on the same part or level as him. Knocked the mask off. The first person to recognize who was Kaneki recognizing the guy, not the other way around.
Right.
So the guy was saying that your ghoul looked familiar to him, but he didn't recognize who he was yet. So what brings me to think is that they don't know what happened to him.
Right.
Basically. And the way he looks now is completely different than what he was after the big fight 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they think something happened to him and they just don't know what happened to him. Maybe dead or something else happened to him.
Yeah.
But they left the city for 2 years and then came back, I think is what that said. What they're going to do, and then came back when everything cooled down, and then remade the tea coffee shop again, and they just start selling again, like they were before the big fight. So I think with that said is eventually Hisuke or Kaneki is going to remember. Something's going to trigger where he's going to remember and not lose control, but remember everything, and it's going to be ultimately up to him to decide which way he wants to go. Go with the new family or go back to his old family that he had before.
I think I want to disagree. So I think it's going to be, I do agree at one point in time he's going to remember everything. But I think it's going to be more of a we need to just finish this internal struggle and call it quits. So
but what's going to trigger that? That's why I didn't say that. I agree with you that that's going to happen where they're going to say I'm tired of this internal struggle. Let's combine the two, have them be whole again. But what's the trigger?
I think ultimately it's going to be multiple different triggers. I think there's going to be multiple different outbursts where he loses control, just like he did with the fight. I think he's ultimately going to have a lot more outbursts, and I think at one point the outbursts are going to get to the point where he actually gets to his SS2 rank, and possibly even get to his his SS2 rank. He actually fights something that's going to whoop his butt even in his SS2 rank, and then he's going to be between Algori Tree, and he's also going to be between the organization, and they're all going to try to pin down and they're going to be fighting each other, but they're also going to be trying to fight him. So he's going to be put to the point where his outburst is going to be fighting both, killing both sides, and he's going to be at a crossroads where Al Gore's tree is going to be going after his love, and then the organization is going to be going after his love, and they're both going to be going after her, and then he's going to have to go to a point where he's just realized he's not strong enough in his current state. He wasn't strong enough in his other state because he lost control. We need to find a current balance. So there's going to be probably a huge kind of like 2-part episode of him remembering everything, going back and forth. The same thing that happened with what's his name, Kanachi. No, what the hell is his name? Naruto with white hair dude. Oh my god, what is his name? Kakashi, yeah, with Kakashi and his best friend. That whole freaking block, the 2 or 3 part episode between him and his friend, and how he kept going back with, well, in more lines of his friend going back and forth of, should I be taken in, and should I be, why am I a part of this? You guys hate me, and all that stuff. It was like a 2-part episode. I think the same thing's gonna happen with Kaneki, where they're gonna have both sides. They're gonna have, all this was a fake, and I can't, or it's gonna be more on Kaneki where, okay, I couldn't control it, I wasn't strong enough, and all these emotions and stuff, that I'm an abomination. And then, you know, he says he's going to come in, it's like, you're not an abomination, you're me, you're loved, and all that stuff. And he's going to remember all the good stuff. But then he says it's going to have a, oh, all these past 2 years are a fake, they're a lie, this family is not really my family, the other people in my family, which side should I do? And Kanye's going to come in and say, hey, you know who's your family, the people you love, you need to protect them. Doesn't matter what team or what side you're on both sides. And I think both of those things are going to happen all at once at one pinnacle point. And I don't think it's going to, and the biggest thing about it all is, here's the kicker, I don't think it's going to happen this season.
Oh, hell no.
No, they're going to do a different
season. I think it's going to be the 4th or 5th season it's going to happen.
There's going to be a freaking build-up going up to that point. And it's gonna be like, maybe I'm gonna say at most 2 seasons before we actually get them back to home.
Yep.
So I was gonna say the exact same. It's gonna follow the formula of the first and second season, where the entire season is build up, and the last 2 episodes are the climax.
Yep.
And it's not gonna get resolved. Just like every other season, it's only going to leave you with even more questions.
Yep.
I mean, you already have a million questions, a million different directions.
Yeah, what happened 2 years ago?
Tie-ins.
Yeah, where certain characters at? What happened 2 years ago? What made him want to side with the people that are hunting him? Is my question. I mean, that's a big question.
What this entire season is going to have to do is going to have to get him to appreciate and sympathize with the CCG.
Yes.
Because he's already sympathized with humans, and he's already sympathized with ghouls. Now he has to sympathize with the CCG, and then it's going to be a get rid of the bad actors in both, and then come to some sort of semi-peaceful resolution. That's the.
I don't think they're gonna come to a resolution with the CCG and the ghouls, because there's always going to be tension there. They're not going to trust each other. One is always going to try to come after the other. So I don't think it's going to be a resolution between the two. I think it's going to be always a struggle between the two factions, be it Ghoul and a separate, the Ghoul and the separate thing, and the CCG going after him. I think that's what's going to happen. Always going to happen. I don't think there's going to be a peaceful resolution or a resolution in general because of that. There's always going to be mistrust. There's always going to be somebody that wanted to pull the trigger. If there was a resolution, there's going to be somebody that doesn't like this resolution, and they're going to pull the trigger and start a war again, like happened 2 years ago. I think that's what's going to happen, and I think that if it's not this current generation, there's always going to be another generation that does this fight.
I think so too. I'm gonna wait until Hero comes back. I don't know where he went, but I want to bring up the fact of his mentor. It's the weirdest kind of thing that his mentor is the biggest, baddest person in the
But
CCG.
you know that was gonna happen. You knew that once he took him in. Come on. In the
I had no
first
idea.
season,
It,
in
it
the
picks me.
first season, there's had to be a reason that this guy felt
Second season.
sorry. Second season, I'm sorry. The second season where this guy picked this guy up, the kid up, felt sorry for him, and wanted to teach him the ways of being the ghoul that he eventually almost became to be, to where he was be able to hide in plain sight, taught him how to still be a ghoul when necessary, and live basically. Basically, that branch of ghoul just wanted to be peaceful and wanted to live. There had to be a reason behind the mentor for him to be that way.
So I want to take a second back. The mentor I'm talking about is Kisu, the guy in the CCG, the white haired guy that he fought. He was kind of sparring against.
I don't, wouldn't he fight him? I just remember Kaneki bringing his dead
He
friend.
did. That's it. No. That's
Hit
all
him.
it is. That's all
That
it
was
is.
it.
I'm just saying
But we're
he's his
assuming-
mentor
we're
now.
assuming-
There was a fight.
Okay.
I don't
We're
think-
Isn't it Arima?
No, I'm not
I thought
talking.
you
Yeah,
meant the older
Arima. Arima.
Yeah.
I thought you meant the older guy. My bad.
Nope.
So like what? Kuzin,
Kuzi.
which is the old
Yep.
white.
The
elf?
old owl guy. Yeah, I thought he was talking about the owl
No,
guy.
I
I thought
was
you
talking
meant
about
him.
him at all.
I just had to say what I freaking loved about like the end of the second season is that you had like the devil apes and the black daubers,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Dovers,
Yeah.
being like these huge organizations that were fought way long time ago and disappeared,
Yeah.
and like they were almost like on par with like Al Tree. It was kind of like that same type of thing where they had to like mobilize a large force to deal with them,
hmm
and you have the leaders of those organizations in Taiku.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
loved that.
Oh, that was
You
great.
have like these
That was so great.
super powerful people
Two of them.
that
Two big leaders.
well, and you essentially they went back and talked to their old crews and brought them all back, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
for
Yeah.
the final battle.
For
So,
the
like,
fight.
you've got
Yeah.
those two. You've got the owl. You've got Yomo, who still is a mystery.
hmm
And like all of those powerful organizations came together under one peaceful organization.
hmm
We still don't know why. We still don't know what really
Yeah.
caused that. We know the backstory of the owl.
We
Right.
know the backstory of the owl, of how he became the way he is now. Yes.
Yeah, but
And-
really,
and-
how did he convince those other organizations to stop?
Right. That's exactly what I was about to say. I mean, you don't know the conversation or what happened between those two and the owl to make them come together under this one organization to be peaceful. Because you saw that the dog they talked about, I think it was the dog, right?
She was S-rated.
Yeah, and that they never that they had a fight before with the one person that was tracing after her.
Yeah. The dude with like his lips torn off or something like that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you know there's a backstory between
Yeah.
that guy and her, and then her and the owl
Yep.
guy. So there's three stories you right there you want to know, and then
Uh-huh.
you don't know about the baboon ape guy at all. You just know that the guy can fight
And has an
almost died.
organization.
and he has his own group of people
Yeah.
behind him too. So where's that story? Where's the story with him fighting possibly the owl guy to make or having a discussion with the owl guy to bring him into the group too? So I mean, there's a lot of
Where
backstory.
does Momo fit into all of it?
Yeah, there's a
Apparently
lot
he's
of-
stupid powerful.
There's a lot of backstory in 1 and 2 that I would like to get in this season if we don't get a resolution with
Yeah.
with what's going on with the story.
I think this is all going to be about
this
Kaneki
third
this
season.
season, and it's all going to be about him coming to terms with who he really is and remembering his stuff. At least the start of that, and then the next season afterwards might start answering some of these other questions.
All right. So last thoughts. We're gonna put a stamp on it because we need to wrap it up and get to our next points. Because we could be on this for the next 30 minutes or so. So we're gonna do our last thoughts. 2 minutes. Gonna go over to 2 minutes only. We're gonna put a 2 minute limit on this. All right. So Rob, go ahead and start. 2 minutes. Final thoughts. First two
I'm
episodes of
excited.
Tokyo.
I'm excited for this. I'm excited for this season. I have no idea what direction they're going to go. We're just assuming and inferring which way they could possibly go. But I'm excited. We're only on episode 2, and I'm already wanting to buy the freaking whole thing when it comes.
Oh, so you're not gonna pirate it anymore?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. I'm telling you,
I'm done.
all you pirates out there, buy the anime. Don't pirate it. It's too good.
I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know why he's coming at me like that. I'm done. Go ahead.
I'm super excited. It brought a lot of hype in the first one. It brought a lot of emotion in the second episode. I am excited for where it's going to go, and I'm also worried.
Worried.
And I am worried for what story it's going to be. So you've got your season 1 and 2 of the anime,
Yeah.
and it got a lot of flack from the manga readers because it deviated. It didn't deviate a ton, but it changed the outcomes, and it changed like some of the folks that were in certain situations from the original manga.
Oh. Okay.
Then you've got the current ongoing manga of everything, and is this going to follow that? Because essentially, from what I've heard, I haven't read it, but from what I've heard is that this is essentially kind of how end up. But we also don't really know enough yet to know, are they strictly following the manga? Are they following kind of the story that they've created those 2 seasons that deviated from the manga? But then also with the whole thing of like Re is kind of being like a restart. Are they making their own story? Is it going to just be not following everything from the previous 2 anime seasons and also not following the manga? I'm a little bit worried to find out which path it takes and how it presents itself. I'm worried that I'm going to have to, in my own head, retcon some stuff.
I think, and this is my final thoughts. I'm thinking that the anime is great, off to a great start. There's a lot of questions open, and I'm glad they're going to kind of do their own spinoff because it opens up the ability to actually do separate story arcs. So back to Rob's point, and all that backstory between the doggers and all that stuff right there, the owl himself and having his own little story arc. There's so many different story arcs that they can spin off and do their own because essentially they're spinning on there saying this is the anime and you want something that's completely different from the actual manga, then this is what we're having, and we're going to actually make this our own rather than the manga, in which the manga is essentially done, from my understanding. From what I read, is the manga is completely done. They're just making anime, and at this point in time, they can make this anime theirs, and it could be their own kind of content out there, and using bits and pieces of the original content that was out there. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I'm glad the season was not as censored as it was within the beginning of the second season.
That was terrible.
It was so bad, and I'm so glad they didn't do that this season.
If you go back and watch the old seasons on Funimation, by the way, it's not as censored as it was when it first came.
Correct. So I don't know what happened with that, but I'm excited, and I just can't wait for the next episode. So without further ado, we're gonna start talking about one of our favorite top animes out there, and I want to start with Heroitus. Go ahead and tell us, what is your top anime? Not your favorite, not your number one. Doesn't have to be your number one. Just give me an anime, why you like it, and pretty much do a persuasion on trying to get us to pretty much watch it. Go ahead.
All right. So, I have to break this into a couple, and I know that you're saying like not your absolute favorite and whatnot, but I cannot do a proper comparison. I just can't.
That's fine. Just give me one of your best animes out there.
In the category of one of my all-time favorites, would be Cowboy Bebop. It is just way too freaking good. What I will say as far as like semi-recent stuff, it is tied between Naruto, Soul Eater, this Brotherhood, Sword Art Online, No Game No Life. I can't pick.
So let me make it a little bit easy for you. You go ahead and pick an anime that you all time love. I'm just saying one. I'm not saying the entire one. I know you can't pick, but I'm giving you an option to pick now because you will have this topic again and again and again. So you pick one now, cross off your list, and we can go to the next one. Next time we do this.
Are we including movies?
We are including movies.
Your Name.
Okay, go ahead and why.
So
I knew you were going to say this. This is the reason why I did this.
All right. Like, for real, Your Name is crazy popular right now. Probably ridiculously so. Where, you know, the director even's coming out and saying, stop watching it, or at least don't watch it 20 times in the theater. Like, what are you guys doing? It's incomplete. It's imperfect. It doesn't deserve all this praise. I see where he's coming from. There are certain elements of the anime that or the movie that could for sure have been added and, you know, extended the length of it just a little bit. There are bits and pieces where it wasn't quite as clear what he was trying to say, and you actually might miss some of it. But I hope he would appreciate that my personal experience with it was incredibly emotional. It was very, you know, semi slice of life-ish with a kind of apocalyptic piece to it, in a small scale at least. And so it added a whole lot of drama. It added a whole lot of action and kind of some moments where you're really worried about a whole bunch of stuff. But all in all, it is a love story with a bunch of different elements of miscommunication or end of the world-ish type stuff. And it is just one of those things that pulled on my heartstrings so hard. And the music ties it all together really, really too, where I will listen to the soundtrack of this music all the time, and it stirs some of the emotions that I had when I was watching. I would have to say that currently it is my number one for those reasons, and it's one of those things where it made me feel a lot of things, and it made me feel them in a way that a lot of anime cannot or has not done. Plenty that has, but this one just played on it even more so.
I can agree with that. It was a great anime. I enjoyed it a lot, but I digress. It's not my turn. I'll pass over to Rob. Go ahead and give me an anime, sir.
Well, the first anime I watched would be Dragon Ball Z. I missed Dragon Ball, so I had to go back to watch that to, you know, I guess make the connection. And I've always been loving that anime, even though it takes forever for people to power up in that freaking anime. It takes forever for them to power up. But I mean, in the super version, it doesn't take as long, even though they do take long take a lot of episodes to get through an arc. But I mean,
It wouldn't be Dragon Ball Z without that stuff.
this is true. That's true because you're already used to it in Dragon Ball Z, you know, and then you got the Cell Saga, you got the Boo Saga, and all that stuff. The Android Saga and stuff like that. All that build up is great because it gives you good drama. You're into the action. You yourself wish you were in that world with doing that kind of stuff when you're younger, thinking it back like that. When it came on Tsunami, I was excited for that. And you like pretend with your fam that you're Goku or Vegeta or Gohan doing these things, doing all kinds of stuff, you know? So for me, it'll be Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, uh, Dragon Ball Super. Those were my
Well, let me pause in
would-
there. Okay, let me pause in there. So
yeah.
it all goes back to: do you agree that
With
the consumer gets to decide which pieces or elements of the anime they like? Meaning sagas, uh, people out there, genres, all that stuff. It's not the creators; it's the actual person themselves. Are you agreeing with that?
I'm confused though.
Just answer the question. Do you agree
I can't
that
answer the question without understanding why you're asking that kind of question.
I can't ask that? I can't answer that because we're gonna get into something that you don't want to get into the topic of. So, do you agree that it's up to the consumer what
I
they
thought
like?
we were just telling what our favorite anime is. We're
I
going to
am.
go just
I
you
am.
segueing this
I
whole
am.
thing.
I am. I'm sorry.
With a twist.
I'm sorry, but I have to say this. You did this to yourself.
How? I just told you my favorite anime. How?
Okay.
How? How did that happen to Hero? But when it comes to me, I gotta get the segue.
Because you the way you ended your segment. That's the reason why.
I said that I like Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball, and then Dragon Ball Super.
Okay, so I want to say this right now. Are you saying Dragon Ball and the entire franchise? Or are you labeling which pieces of the series that you like the best?
Well, the way I watched them was Dragon Ball Z, then Dragon Ball, and then Dragon Ball Super came later.
Okay,
And
so
what's your favorite? I think is what he's asking.
My favorite is Dragon Ball Z because that was the first anime, and then I
Okay.
went back to watch Dragon Ball once I found out about Dragon Ball.
okay,
Which is
so
the-
so
which
let
is
me
the prequel
so let me throw this in there. The creator has disowned GT.
Yes.
You disowned GT from
That's
what
why I
you
didn't
just
say it in
said.
my sentence.
So that's what I'm saying. Are you saying those
Yeah.
three are the only ones you're saying, or are you saying the entire franchise of Dragon Ball
I didn't say anything about the franchise of Dragon Ball Z.
or
I
Dragon
said-
Ball? Just to be clear, the Dragon Ball
I just
franchise.
said Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball by itself, and then Dragon Ball Super.
That's why I
That's
asked
it.
the question. That's why.
But you're adding extra stuff by saying franchise, and then saying that Dragon Ball GT is that I'm choosing not to say because even the creator of it himself
We're
said
not getting
this
into
never
that. We're
happened.
not getting into this. We're not getting into
You
this.
just brought it up. You
Okay.
just brought it up.
So that's why I didn't want to around this. That's why I simply asked: are you saying that you like certain elements? Are you just going on board with what the creator said? Or are you saying you like the entire franchise? Or these are specific sagas
what
that you
I
like?
said-
That's the reason
what
why I
I
asked.
said. This is what I like because I was asked,
Mhm.
what anime did you like? Is your
Mhm.
favorite?
Mhm.
I said Dragon Ball Z. Then later, when I found out about it, was Dragon Ball,
Mhm.
and then after that, in the future, was Dragon Ball Super. That's it. Those are my favorite.
You like canon Dragon Ball.
Correct. You like
See,
meta
why couldn't you just go with that?
because it's not
You
the
gotta
full
add this extra
franchise.
stuff.
It's not the
You
full
gotta
franchise.
We're not talking about franchises. I just like this, and this.
It's
That's my
not.
three
It's not the
animes.
entire. It's not the entire scope of the umbrella. That's what I want to know because you didn't label. I said anime. So anime. If
Yeah.
I would say anime, it would be everything, including the movies. You didn't list the movies either.
I didn't list the movies because I didn't have a favorite movie that's out there.
But
That's
the anime
beautiful.
itself is Dragon Ball. The
No,
entire
then
thing.
But Dragon Ball is separated in 4, 5. If you want to count the one that you don't want to, that is not canon. Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, and then Dragon Ball Super. Then you have the movies.
Which tie into the
and,
things.
and which ties into the actual series. And then you also have Dragon Ball Kai, which is the same thing as Dragon Ball Z, but they remade it.
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
but I mean, you got
Sure.
like
And
7
then
different
you have
types.
The live action.
Yeah,
You
you
have
did.
the live action, which is the movie, which nobody likes.
I give
Nobody-
anyone credit for that one. No one likes that one.
Nobody
Yeah.
likes it. Nobody even likes it. I mean, hopefully they redo that if they do decide. to make a Dragon Ball.
No. They messed up. They cannot redeem themselves. They tried. They're doing it with Full Metal Alchemist, which I can say that is
Whoa, 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 whoa.
It's
Wait, wait.
it's
If we're talking about movies that you don't want them to redo, we have Spider-Man come out 4 different times. Are you fucking kidding me right now, T?
we're gonna
Are
switch
you
topics.
serious?
We're gonna switch topics because that's not anime.
Wait.
So
Wait, what?
it's not an anime. So we're gonna go
It's the
ahead.
same.
Shh.
Okay. Okay.
This is my favorite anime. I'm sorry that I brought that up. It is a sore subject every time we start to discuss Dragon Ball and everything under it. So I'm glad you said this now, and I want to go to my topic because we won't have this discussion anymore. Hopefully.
Yeah.
So, my all-time favorite anime is one of my all-time favorite animes. It was tough, but I'm gonna start with this one now. It has to be Guilty Crown.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Wait, wait. When did you change that? I
Is
thought you
one
were
of-
going to
it-
go. Whoa.
Like I said, it's one of
Really?
my all-time top animes. It is up there. It is. I want to say it is like number 2 or number 1 as my
I
all-time
would
anime.
thought number 1 was like his number 1, which was Cowboy Bebop, because
No.
you were just all over the moon with Cowboy Bebop back in the day.
I have to
can't,
say-
I can't just let go Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop made me all emotional inside and stuff like this.
I
Oh,
watched.
Spike Dead.
I watched
Oh, that's right.
Guilty Crowned, and I looked at it. I looked at the how many times I watched it. 18 times all the way through.
Make sure I'm remembering the same thing.
It is such a great. It gives you the feels, just like
It does.
what Heroitus does, because you get that balance of yes and good and bad and up and down. It's just, I want to say, it's not the same kind of struggle, but kind of the same kind of emotional struggle of Tokyo Ghoul. It difference because he doesn't know how to understand his own emotions, but he understands he loves somebody, and then when he decides to say okay,
Wait, it's too late to say something.
he decides to do something about it, and he gets tapped into that and stuff, he becomes corrupted. They see that, oh man, this power is phenomenal, and then he gets to the point where he becomes a tyrant, and then he gets trampled by someone who is truly a identifying tyrant and says you are a false, knock you down off your pedestal, and now he has to redeem himself. And when he redeems himself is what every anime needs to do in a redeeming factor. He loses something. He doesn't lose something of himself, but he loses something not just of himself, but of something that he cares about even more deeply and intimately. And it's just so good. It gives you the combat that you want. The art style is amazing. It is amazing in anime, and I have to say, it is by far one of my best music animes ever. Just the song itself is just so good. I'm not gonna say it's my best because I gotta say Tokyo Ghoul's music, that piano segment. Every time I hear that segment, anywhere it goes, even if they put it in another song, because the second season of third season of Tokyo Ghoul, they put the piano piece in there. It's just very so silently in there. It's in there. I love that little piano
Let's
piece.
just not talk about season 2.
No, we won't. We will not, because it doesn't exist.
forgot.
Doesn't exist. But I have to say, Guilty Crown, it gives you all those pieces. Just
It does.
so good, so good.
Guilty Crown it definitely does it right. It does that very well. It's on my overall list, it is number 21.
Mm-hmm.
Out of like a little over 100, I want to. It's up there. I gave it an 8 as far as like a rating out of 10 goes. Just because it does all that stuff and it does it really well.
Mhm.
I feel like it only had 2 seasons, right?
Yep.
So it's hard to dive you in even deeper.
That's all you need. And some animes, they kind
the
of.
2 is all you needed for sure.
I mean, I think some animes out there, they give you like 4 or 5 seasons, and it's all just much after the second season. So I give Guilty Crown. Dragon Ball, I liked all the seasons and all the stuff in Dragon Ball, But like a lot of seasons out there, it just takes too long to get stuff out there. Um, I've kind of gotten to the point where it's in the back burner. It's like a Bleach to me. After the first 2 or 3 seasons, it was good. After that, I'm putting it behind me, and I'll watch every once in a while, but it's not on my top to watch anymore. So to me, so but we're gonna go ahead and we're a little over 2 hours of recording this. So what we'll do is we will do final statements. See where we're gonna go from there. Um,
Can we
overall,
also do like a final, like, to kind of close out? Do something like a recommended, like
yeah,
recommended
that's what we're gonna
picks?
do. That's exactly what we're gonna do. So
Perfect.
so currently right now, I'm gonna go ahead and start. Well, I want to start with Herodotus. So first of all, we're gonna say, what are you currently watching? What do you recommend to watch, even if it's on your list or not? Give me your top 3 that you're watching and one anime at least that you recommend to go out there and watch. Go.
All right. Currently watching. I actually do need to update a tiny bit of this on my anime list. But I'm currently watching Tokyo Ghoul Re, obviously. Sword Art Online Alternative, Gun Gale Online. I'm currently watching One Punch Man because I missed it and I'm catching up.
Okay.
Boruto, Violet
Boruto?
Evergarden, which is actually from last season, but it just released the full thing on Netflix. I am also currently watching Overlord, although is it over?
See, that's a good question because we already went a week and there's no new
There's
episode.
not a new episode, but they went to 13. Are they just taking like a week break and then
So
jump?
that's what I'm hoping. I don't know. But on the anime master anime list, it does say that it's complete. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe they just had one extra little episode. So I'm maybe I'm not currently watching that. I don't know. I'm also currently watching Devil's Line, Magical Girls Sight, Caligula, Comic Girls,
The hell, dude, are you okay?
Creatures Family Days. I am admittedly I am jumping a little bit more into slice of life than I normally do.
Okay.
I'm gonna see if there's a little bit more of that stuff that I like.
He did say 3. You did more than that. So
Well, no. So what you're currently watching? That's everything I'm currently watching. So answer that question now.
Okay.
Recommendation. Current
Yeah.
recommendation.
All right, go ahead.
I am so split on this between 2. I'm split between Violet Evergarden and Made in Abyss. But what I'm going to currently recommend, because I haven't finished Violet Evergarden, I still have like 3. Oh my god, the feels. It's so good. Is I'm going to recommend Made in Abyss. It is, you can catch it on Amazon Video if you have Amazon Prime, and it is
These
one
are-
of those.
Is it just? Are they all chibi all the time?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So it actually does a very good job of not, when you actually watch it, you kind of get over that. It's not like pure chibi stuff. It's kind of like a little bit of like they went for a chibi-ish animation style.
Yeah.
What I will say is this anime is gruesome.
Oh wow, it's 17.
It is gruesome. It is graphic.
How?
Not,
It's chibi. It's like
you would
little
not
kids.
You would
Yeah.
not expect it.
Yeah,
It is incredibly harsh. But I will tell you right now, I have given it a 9. It's number 13 on my list. A 9 out of 10. I cannot wait for the next season. It is one of those things where you go in and you're like, there's no way I'm gonna like this.
It's ranked 19.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's ranked 19, violence and profanity. 13 episodes.
No joke. I highly, highly recommend this. I was very skeptical to begin with, and then I started to kind of like, okay, maybe I see where they're going. And then it's like they didn't go that way.
Yeah.
And then when you get to like mid-ish, and then even further, like you hit like about the middle episode, like from in the season,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh damn. And then you get like an episode or 2 after that, and then it turns into like a where I am literally from some of the like gruesomeness that it was showing, the graphic stuff that it was showing.
Yeah.
I was feeling that like punch in the gut feeling when you like think of like, oh, that would like hurt or that's gross or whatever. It is incredibly intense. You would not think it looking at what it is, but oh my goodness, is this thing intense. I highly recommend this anime.
Okay.
Made in Abyss. You can watch it full on Amazon if you have Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Probably some other places too, but I think that's where it like originally released because I think Amazon like partnered with them.
Oh, okay. So it's one of Amazon's. Okay.
Yeah. So when you Amazon recently changed their video thing, you don't have to pay extra now. So now you can go watch it if you got Amazon.
Okay. Cool.
Seriously, incredibly good. Get past the initial bit of chibiness,
Yeah.
and you completely forget about it being a kind of chibi type thing.
Yeah.
When it starts getting into it, it's crazy.
But how many episodes does it take for you to get past it? Is my question.
Quite honestly, I want to say you get past it almost after the first one. Like,
Really?
They've got a couple stuff that the first one, and you kind of forget about it. And then I'd probably say by third-ish episode, I'd have to go back and take a look. Is when it starts to really get a lot heavier.
Okay.
So it is gruesome though, legit. There will be moments, I can guarantee it. You cringe from some of the stuff that happens. Gruesome anime.
Okay.
Okay. Rob, what you got?
I currently don't have a lot on my list. Watching. I think I have only. Well, I did have two, but one is done. I think was Overlord, the second season. That just finished. We think. And then Tokyo Ghoul Re. I don't have really much to like say as to watch, but I don't know if you've seen them already. So for Hero, I would definitely want you to watch or whenever you get a chance is K.
You already saw it.
That's a good anime.
You already seen them all.
Love those.
I can recommend them already too.
Yeah,
You already did?
Yeah.
All right. K,
so good, dude.
K
All
with
of
the
them
Kings.
are ranked 8 or scored.
K, this anime that T showed me.
Have that effect on
Man,
people.
What's great? You can catch them all on Netflix too now.
Yep.
I didn't know this was a Netflix thing. And when he recommended me to watch K, I watched everything afterward. I was like, literally, K, Missing Kings, The Return to Kings, all. The Missing Kings was the movie. The the episodes on the K, and then Return Kings, which was the other series that came after it. Great anime.
It is incredible. It is.
It's good. So you already seen it. So I have nothing to recommend.
Hey, but well, here's the thing. It's not
Feels
just
bad.
recommending to us, right? It's recommending to any listener too.
Mhm.
That's true.
K.
True.
True.
Watch
K.
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 Here's an interesting thing to keep in mind. The title is literally the letter K.
Mhm.
Yes.
And when I first started watching this, because Taryn had talked, Tila had talked a lot about it, so I was like, all right, where is K? K what? And I started watching the second season actually, and then I was like, I watched I think 2 episodes, and in the first episode even I was like, I'm missing something. Second episode, I was like, I'm definitely missing something. So I went back and researched it. It's like, all right, start at K and go to the rest of them. It's very, very good. Yes. So yeah, recommendation to the listener.
So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I'm sorry.
What?
Well, reason why is because I'm watching the same anime as you guys watch. I'm watching Tokyo Ghoul, and I'm watching High School DxD, which I already talked about. Recommendation though. So I want to have one direct recommendation to Hero to finish and watch School Days.
I watched the first episode. I do like where it's going.
There is
so
no, you don't understand. You don't know where it's going.
I know. I know that there's crazy twists, I'm sure. Yes, it's on my currently watching list.
I even have that on.
It is 12 episodes.
Yeah.
Oh, I have it on. No.
and it is a masterpiece on my list. It is crazy good,
Mm.
and the only
Right
reason
there.
why it's
Right
that
there.
good is because the last two episodes and well, four episodes out of the whole thing make that anime completely so good.
It's one character that makes those last two episodes the best.
Oh yes, so good. So
One person
so
makes that whole thing it.
that is my anime I'm recommending to you. I know you're already watching it, and that's why I'm technically kind of cheating because the one I'm recommending for everybody to watch is called Zitsu no Tempest, which translates to Blast of Tempest. It is very, very good. Um, it is a 24-part episode. It is part season one, season two. It is a I list it as a masterpiece. It's a rank 10. I've watched it 5 times. It is crazy good. Um, I rank it up there in my top five, top eight, top all time animes. That's in between, like I said, 100 animes. That's crazy good. It's up there with Guilty Crown. It's very, very good. It is a struggle between mainly one boy, or two boys actually, um, and pretty much which side they should pretty much be on. And ultimately it revolves around two girls. First season is really about one girl. The second season is about the other girl, but they both kind of meet up and have similar approaches between both pieces. It's a great anime. um it revolves, I think, hero, you will like this a lot. It's about six. It has lots of reference points to Shakespeare, Hamlet,
Ooh,
and The Tempest.
I see. I see. You know what? Actually, this is relatively new, right?
No, it is very old. It came out
Is it?
2012.
Oh, it did come out in 2012. Maybe it was from something that you wrote to me, but yeah, it was something that I was looking into, uh, at least at some point fairly recently, to going back and watching.
It is very good. It has a lot of reference points to Shakespeare. Lots of good combat. It has some good interesting points, and I have to rewatch it the first time to actually
Oh, I've
capture some
seen that.
stuff. I have
Yeah,
to
I've seen this.
I have to watch it again to because there's so many pieces in there and elements of it that I didn't catch the first time. And after watching it, because I read Hamlet all the way through, thought it was a great thing. I actually watched and read different bits and pieces of the Tempest, and I have to actually go in and watch it because the anime tie in both books into the anime, and
Tricks. Yeah.
ultimately at the last 3 or 4 episodes it makes his own kind of twist. Because if you don't know how those two animes, and this is to the readers, or you don't know anything about those books, is those books were heavily sought after tragedies, and the whole anime is revolving around, is it a tragedy or is it a fairy tale? Is it a happy ending? What kind of conclusion do you want to have within this anime? And it ultimately leaves the watchers and the viewers to have their own idea of what the anime is. If it's a tragedy, if it's not a tragedy, and it's very good on how they let the watchers to that point. So, very good anime. Is the anime I would recommend for you guys to watch. It is up on my top 10 anime, and it's so good. So that's what I have. So without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get our kind of ad. Give you guys pretty much go ahead and follow those social media stuff. So my name's T Love. You can catch me on Twitch. You can catch me on Twitter as T Love 2006. And pretty much I do all kinds of watch anime, do all kinds of nerd things, play video games, and all kinds of stuff out there. So I'll pass over to Harap. Go ahead and do your spiel and advertise for yourself.
You can catch me on Mixer at Mixer. how they do it? Mixer.com/Harop. My Twitter is Harop1 at Twitter, and I think that's the only two things right now I want to do because I'm still working on other stuff in the background. So it's just those two things right
Cool. And her hero.
I am not on Twitch or Mixer or anything like
But
maybe
you
that'll change.
but you are on my anime list, so
Yep, I'm on my anime list, so you can check me out. It's Herodotus_II. I'm also at Herodotus_II on Twitter. Also, not very active on Twitter myself. That's pretty much the two places you can kind of catch some stuff. Mostly my anime list. Herodotus, HERODOTUS_II.
cool. Awesome. So that was our first anime pretty much podcast. Hope you guys liked it. I will try to get this edited as soon as possible and get this out on Google Play and also at least on Twitch at some point in time to actually get out there. So much love to you guys, and I'll see you guys later.